Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Ken Saik. We'll be discussing his fantastic book, Helping Hands, available for purchase through Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. But if you guys want to gather everything that Ken has to offer, well, do yourself a favor and head directly to his personal site, authorkensaik.com. Now, author and Ken, both traditional spelling. Now, I'm going to spell Saik for you just to make sure there's no confusion. That's SAIK.com. There, not only will you be able to find more information on Ken himself, you'll find more information on this fantastic book, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's authorkensaik.com. Ken was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business, Author Flex Media Publishing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself a favor and contact our great friends over there at Author Flex. You can find out more information on them at authorflexmedia.com. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Ken, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good, and I'm very thankful that I could be a guest and have an opportunity to talk about Helping Hands.
Absolutely. Well, listen, the honor is all ours, and we're truly looking forward to this. I mean, let's just call a spade, Ken. Given the past year and a half to 2 years, or 20 years, it feels like, with this pandemic, there's been a lot of adversity, and there's been a lot of turbulence in the air that we've all been experiencing. And a book of this magnitude, even though it's not directly related to that, we're talking about adversity that your main protagonist goes through and how they overcome the obstacles. And I think there's so much wisdom to be pulled from this book that can be applied to our day-to-day lives. So this is truly a gift for us, and we're very much looking forward to everything that we're going to be discussing today. Now, I know we have so much to cover, but before we go into the book, let's hold off slightly, Ken. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about your background and yourself, please.
Well, I guess a good way to start is, for as long as I can remember, I have always loved writing. Now, that was a personal understanding, but that was reflected by a grade 6 teacher who recognized that I had a creative writing talent. She said, "Someday you are going to write books." She was right. Anyway, that was as early as grade 6. Now, when I was in senior high, I had the pleasure of a couple of good English teachers who encouraged me to do some writing, and at one point, I even got an honorable mention in the province for one of my poems. So I thought, I will get to this later on. But then I entered the teaching profession, and if anybody knows teachers and marking, that tends to take up almost all of your day. So writing had to take a back door for a while. But even then, I managed to sneak in some writing. And what was really amazing is when I'd finished something, I was on a high. I was so excited about what I read or what I wrote that as a social studies teacher, I don't have anybody to share that with. But next door were the English teachers. And I'd always drop over and say, "Guess what I just finished writing? You want to listen to that?" I was a pest. At any rate, so I managed to squeak in a little bit of writing then, but my hope was that when I retire, that I could make that one of my main preoccupations. And so I retired in 2006, and that's when I began to start doing my writing. At first, small things like a novella, and then I went all the way up to a huge novel like Baggage Burdens, which is the companion to Helping Hands, and then several others. So at this point, I have 8 books that I've got published, with a 9th one going through some beta readers to polish it up and point out what could be better. And I'm looking forward to that one being launched sometimes next year.
Fantastic. Ken, congratulations on everything that you've been able to achieve. And, before we go any further, I just want to be the first person to tell you here on our network how much we appreciate the work that you have done in really shaping and molding the young minds of the future. My listening audience is aware of this. I've had a very brief stint in education myself. I taught college for 3 years and I taught fourth graders for 1 year. Absolutely loved my fourth graders. It was amazing. It was such an incredible experience. And my significant other now, she is a high school teacher. She's been teaching for about 15 years, actually social studies. She's a history teacher as well. And, we constantly talk about the pressures that come with being an educator, because anybody that is in that area of expertise, in that realm, in that world, you understand, yeah, you may be a history teacher, you may be a math teacher, an English teacher, so on and so forth, but we know you have to wear a lot of hats, okay? Sometimes you're a teacher, other times you're a friend, sometimes you're a therapist, right? I mean, there's so many hats that you have to wear. So let me again be the first to thank you for all of the work that you put in, because teachers never get the amount of appreciation that they deserve for the work that they have to do.
Except from our students. And that's what keeps us going.
There you go. Absolutely. Well, Ken, listen, without further ado, Helping Hands. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
Well, that's a book, particularly talking about helping hands, that comes about from a feeling of, I missed the boat. I had a friend who had some real serious problems, and we got into some kind of conversations, and she revealed things to me that she wouldn't normally. First of all, she wouldn't talk to a man because she didn't trust men. She certainly didn't trust men with beards, and I had a beard. So I should have been the last person for her to talk to. But she revealed some things in her life that explained an awful lot. Like, she had a very controlling kind of character. It was the only thing that would give her a feeling of safety and confidence. And if she didn't have that, then she would make certain that she was always off by herself. I always felt like she was kind of a lonely person. But the thing about her was that when you got a chance to talk to her, you knew she loved people. She certainly loved kids. She was completely relaxed in talking with kids. But with adults, she would tend to kind of back off and just kind of keep hidden. Well, I ended up finding out why. And so at that point, I wanted to be able to be in a position to help her. She'd shown a bit of a trust in me. And so I was looking forward to doing that. But the more she got to know me and the more I got to know her, the more uncomfortable it became. So she adopted one of her other strategies. It was called run away. So she ran away, and I could not help offer her any kind of ideas in trying to cope with her struggles. Gone. My only way to try and reach her was to do it in a book. And so that's basically the driving force behind writing Helping Hands. I'd like to read a short excerpt to give your listeners a chance to know Jill a little bit better. The context is that Jill is talking with her friend Bill, and they're talking about Kathy, the sister of Jill, and Kathy's impressions of their father. So I begin. If you think Kathy's experiences are based on fact, can you accept her impression of your father? I don't know if I want to. And deny the truth, says Bill. I don't know if I want to accept that truth. Maybe that's something you need to pray about. Bill glances at Jill for her reaction. And that's another thing that I can't appreciate. Irritation raises Jill's voice. She shifts around in her seat, facing Bill, ready to see his reaction as well as hear his words. Now is the time to challenge him. Praying? He asks. Yes. Bill's response is swift, as if she's blocking a blow and preparing a counterattack. Every time you pray, you know how you start? You begin with, Dear Father. Do you have any idea what that does to me? Bill's challenge shoots out like a machine gun, spitting bullets. It immediately turns me off. Bill looks at Jill to determine if he's heard correctly. You know what father means to me? It means a hard, uncaring, mean, violent man. It means look out. He's the one who's about to punish you, fairly or not. Asking him for anything can result in his wrath. So why do I dare ask for anything? Why do I dare hope for a favorable answer? I've learned I have no one I can count on except myself. No one. Bill's breathing is coming in gulps. Her red face stares intently at Bill. Silence greets her outburst. As Jill watches Bill driving, she is certain she's shocked him. She expects she has lost a friend and prepares to accept the consequences. When he signals, pulls over to the shoulder and stops, she wonders if he'll get out of the car and leave her alone. Well, she demands as he shifts into park. He wants a response from him before he leaves. It's the least he can do, now that she's shown him who she really is. Bill stares at Bill's every motion. When he turns the engine off, she takes a deep breath. He's about to walk out. She thinks of Joseph and how he left her. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Bill unbuckles his seatbelt. Oh, why couldn't I have kept my mouth shut? So in that, you have an idea of the kind of tension that's driving Jill. And it's based an awful lot on her father, who was an alcoholic, and he had beat her, and he had instilled in her the idea that she's not a loving person. And so how can anyone love her? And so she really doesn't like him. Hate him? She would not want to say she hates him, because that makes it sound like she's like her father, and that's the last thing she wants to do. So this is Jill, and you have an idea of Bill. His faith is very